Hey friends, welcome back to the Fertility Confidence Podcast. Today we are doing an Ask Kelsey segment, which I am really enjoying preparing for and grabbing questions. So remember, if you want to submit a question for Ask Kelsey, there is a link in the show notes for you, regardless if you're watching this on YouTube or on a podcast platform. But if you go to, oh goodness, what is it? I think it's call.kelseyduncan.com/askkelsey, but I will make sure that's correct in the show notes. So that's how you can submit your question, and I'm going to pick through them, and we will do 4 of these little mini episodes a month. So this week's question came from our Instagram story pool, and the question was, can I work out during my 2-week wait? And I love this one. I had to pick it because I don't think we've ever talked about this in great detail on the podcast, but it is something that we get asked almost every week whenever new clients come into FCM, they ask us this. And a lot of times I hear women being very, very fearful that the reason they're not getting pregnant is because they've continued to work out and exercise. And I'm like, oh God, absolutely not. So that's the short answer is absolutely yes. You can continue to work out during your 2-week wait. In fact, I highly encourage it. And I'm going to share with you 2 studies. I'll actually link them in the show notes for you as well. That might help just ease your mind a little bit. So I'm just going to open them up on my computer real quick. The first one's from 2021. And it looked at the association of the level of physical activity and pregnancy rate after embryo transfer. So remember, we've talked about this on the podcast before, even just earlier this week, saying that most of our research is done in IVF because that's where we're having couples sign up to be studied. We're not really having couples sign up to be studied when they're trying unmedicated. So we have to look at this through a bit of a broader lens and allow this data to sort of extrapolate out. It's a small study, so small sample size, but what they actually saw that they had women who, they looked at step count. So they didn't give a specific number, but they said walked significantly fewer steps on the day of embryo transfer in the first 2 days after, and those who kind of continued on their normal number of steps. And they found that there was no difference between pregnancy rates in the group, and that there's no adverse effects to continuing your regular routine of exercise. And they recommend that women should resume regular activity immediately after embryo transfer. The other study, which is really cool, is from, what year is this from? 2018, so a little bit older. And they looked at physical activity before IVF and ICSI cycles and how that influenced clinical pregnancy rates and live birth rates. And it was a meta-analysis. So they looked at a few different studies. And the gist of it is they found that women who were physically active on average 3 to 5 days a week for 30-minute to 1-hour sessions. So 3 to 5 hours a week of exercise, which isn't really all that much, especially if we break it down into smaller segments, that women who actually had moderate levels of exercise going into IVF had higher pregnancy rates and higher live birth rates. They had lower miscarriage rates, higher implantation rates with higher levels of exercise. So we are actually seeing exercise being a supportive treatment in IVF. Now, there's a few other studies that we kind of use to help ease our clients' minds in this arena that all sort of say the same thing, that there's no adverse effects to continuing your exercise regime, typically after embryo transfer, because that's what our data is in, right? It's in IVF studies. Now, there's one caveat to this, and there's 2 sort of asterisks to this recommendation, okay? Let's actually say there's 3 asterisks to this recommendation. 1, always listen to your body, okay? Your body is wise. When we are exercising, not pregnant, not, going through a fertility experience, not in our 2-week wait, and you're like, blah, I'm feeling tired, like, oh, I'm going to faint. Let's just push through it. We're not doing that in this realm, okay? We allow our body to guide us. So that is asterisk one. I'm not going to tell you to like push through the pain and keep going. We're not drill sergeants here. If your body is saying stop, your body is saying stop, and we listen. The second asterisk to that is if you are going through IVF and the medications are making you feel unwell, they're making you swollen and bloated and sore and crampy, that's another thing we're not going to push through, okay? Especially when we're talking about retrieval, because your ovaries are larger. There is a higher risk of ovarian torsion. We don't want any of that. So we're going to avoid a lot of like twisting movements and things in the retrieval process. But again, just like a very, very in tune feeling with your body of like, does this actually feel good for me? But we're not going to lay down in Shavasana for like the entire cycle. We need to move our body. We know from the research with our nervous system. We know from the research with insulin resistance. We know from the research with improved sleep. We know how impactful movement can be in hormone regulation and inflammatory processes. And when I say movement, I literally mean even just quite simply walking. Like, you don't have to be hitting the gym for 90 minutes, 6 days a week to get positive impact on your fertility journey. If you can walk for like 30 to 45 minutes a day, you're golden. You're actually meeting the criteria for the majority of the research. That's amazing. The other asterisk to that was in your 2-week wait, you are in your luteal phase. So something that we feel very strongly about over here at FCM is the idea of cycle syncing, and particularly cycle syncing your movements to support your hormones. And we have had amazing results. I have had amazing results personally, but also with our clients, teaching them how to cycle sync all aspects of their lives, really, but especially their movements. And so when we're thinking 2-week wait, we're in our luteal phase. What does that mean? First off, there's a whole podcast series on cycle syncing, so you can scroll back and listen to the luteal phase episode, and that'll be really helpful for you. But from a movement perspective, we're talking a little bit cooled down, okay? We're not doing anything super high intensity. We also, so no HIIT workouts, no like long endurance marathon running. We're looking more at Pilates, yoga, bar. You absolutely can continue your strength training in your 2-week wait, but maybe we're doing lower weight, higher repetition. When I'm doing strength training, I don't necessarily always stop in my luteal phase, but I will sometimes. I listen to my body. So some days in my luteal phase, I feel very follicular. And I'm like, I've had a good sleep. I'm feeling good. I really want to lift something heavy today because it makes me feel just so good and so proud of myself. And so I will. But there's other days in my luteal phase that I'm like, absolutely no, I am absolutely not lifting that right now. I am going to do Pilates, or I'm going to strap a band on and do banded resistance instead, and body weight instead of full like resistance training. So we always just have to kind of tune in, but that's one thing to think about with your 2-week wait. So I feel like that was a lot of rambling, but the gist of it is, if you scrolled through all of that rambling, yes, please continue to work out during your 2-week wait. Please don't start anything new. Okay, let's continuing on what we're doing. Yes, you can continue to lift weights. You continue to, do all the things, your hot yoga, whatever you're feeling nervous about. If your body feels good doing those things, absolutely you can. Do we maybe want to have a little bit less intensity in the luteal phase to support our hormones? Yes. Okay. If we're following a cycle syncing approach, absolutely. And as a little aside, we see from the research that women who actually exercise for 3 to 5 hours a week leading into IVF had better live birth rates. So if you're not currently intentionally moving your body, now's the time to start. And that doesn't mean you need to go and get a gym membership and spend the next 50 hours at the gym making up for it. It means, can you simply get out for a walk today? Easy peasy. Is the weather nice? Awesome. Get out there. I'm going to go walk around the block today, I think, because I think my brain needs it more than my body. But sometimes that's just what your body needs is easily a walk. Can you throw on a free YouTube video, a yoga video or a workout video and try that at home and see how that feels? If you're really struggling to know what to do, this is where having a program can really, really help. I personally am obsessed and love Jen Pike's Synced membership. I highly encourage it. She was so generous to give our community 10% off. So I'll pop that link for you in the show notes. But she has an on-demand and live membership platform, and it's all based on cycle syncing. So she teaches you how to cycle sync your movements. The live classes throughout the month are all geared towards where you potentially are at in your cycle, but there's also a slew of recorded workouts for you. They range from 5 minutes all the way up to an hour. The average is about 30 to 35 minutes, which is perfect for me because that's really all of the attention I can give before I'm like, I'm bored. I need something else. And she's just like a ray of light. So if that's something that you're like, I really want to start, moving my body in a more hormone positive way, but I don't really know how, highly recommend it. It's worth its weight in gold, and it quite literally has changed my life over the last 2 years that I've been working inside that membership with Jen. So I will pop that link in the show notes for you so that you can use that coupon code and check it out if you would like. And that's it. That's our answer. Can I exercise in my 2-week wait? I encourage it. Okay. I highly recommend it. Just make sure you're always listening to your body, and I will see you guys next week.